Shalom,
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh. We're gonna start with us if you want copies of the Minka prayers. Normally we do the prayers before we start doing the prayers now. Then we'll go into going all the way over to Exodus 27 chapter, the brick. So that is this week's Torah portion. So we say Amadium upon Jerusalem. That means stand and face towards Jerusalem. Okay, towards your. So Amadium upon Jerusalem. We say Barakatah, Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Malak, Ha'alam, Allah, Shaya, Allah, Hayawan. We come and bow before Yahweh in the fear of thee. Yahweh, I love the habitation of thy house and the place. But as for me, of thy mercy, answer me with the truth of thy salvation. Wa madaya Shabbath, Bashabbath, wa barak atah, kal, bashalah, halalak, wath, palya, amar, Yahweh. That's Isaiah 66, chapter, verse 23. And from Shabbath to Shabbos, all flesh will come and bow before my face, says Yahweh. The Abanawa prayer, Yahushai's prayer, together. Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Arataza, Kahaya, Ashemayim, the Dabianawa, Benasaya 1, Abo, Hawashasham, Yahushai, Hamashiach, Aman. Yea, even fainteth for the courts of Yahweh. My heart and my flesh cries out for the living Elohim. Yea, the sparrow has found a house, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may lay her young. Even thy altars, O Yahweh of hosts, my King and my Elohim. Blessed are they that dwell in thy house. They will still be praising thee, Selah. Blessed the man whose strength is in thee, and in whose heart are the ways of them, who passing through the valley of Baca make it a well. The rain also filleth. Hear my prayer. Give ear, O courts, is better than 1,000. I had rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my Elohim than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. For Yahweh, power is a sun and shield. Yahweh will give grace and glory. No good thing shall ye observe to offer unto me in their due season. And thou shalt say unto them, this is the offering made by fire, which ye shall offer unto Yahweh, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, day by day for a continual burnt offering. The 1 lamb shalt thou offer in the morning, and the other lamb shalt thou offer at eve, and a 10th part of an ephah of flour for a meat offering, mingled with the 4th part of a hin of beaten oil. It is a continual burnt offering, which was ordained in Mount Sinai for a sweet Savior, a sacrifice made by fire unto Yahweh. And the drink offering in the holy place shall thou cause the strong wine to be poured unto Yahweh for a drink offering. And the other lamb shall thou offer at eve, as the meat offering of the morning, and as the drink offering thereof. Thou shalt offer it, a sacrifice made by fire of a sweet Savior unto Yahweh. Shall make it, put it before the testimony in the tabernacle of the congregation, where I will meet with thee. It shall be unto you most holy. And he dresses the lamps, he shall burn incense upon it. And when Aaron lighteth the lamps at eve, he shall burn incense upon it, a perpetual keteret, incense before Yahweh throughout they that dwell in their house. They will still be that people is Alahaya is Yahweh. I will have told thee my Alahaya, O King, and I will bless thy name forever and ever. Every day will I bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and ever. Yahweh, great is Yahweh, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall praise thy works to another, and shall declare thy mighty acts. I will speak of the glorious honor of thy majesty and of thy wondrous works. And men shall speak of the mighty thy terrible acts, and I will declare thy greatness. They shall abundantly utter the memory of thy great goodness, and shall sing of thy righteousness. Yahweh is gracious and full of compassion, slow to anger, of great mercy. Yahweh is good to all, and his tender mercy are over all his works. All thy works shall praise thee, O Yahweh, and thy saints shall bless thee. They shall speak of the glory of thy kingdom, and talk of thy power, to make known to the sons of men his mighty acts, and the glorious majesty of his kingdom. Thy kingdom is everlasting kingdom, and thy dominion endureth throughout all generations. Yahweh upholdeth all that fall, and raises up all those that be bowed down. The eyes of all wait upon thee, and thou givest them their meat in due season. Thou openest thy hand, and satisfy the desire of every living thing. Yahweh is righteous in all his ways, and holy in all his works. Yahweh is nigh to all them that call upon him, to all that call upon him in truth. He will fill the desire of them that fear him. He also will hear their cry and will save them. Yahweh preserves all them that love him, but all the wicked will he destroy. My mouth shall speak the praise of Yahweh, and let all flesh bless Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Aman. Okay, we can stand. Amanium. So,
You need a sword, Prince?
There's a Bible that has the Torah portion in there.
You don't have it handy. Okay, we'll come back to that. Numbers 28, 9 through 10. And on the Shabbat day, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, and 2 flour for a meat offering, mingled with oil, and a drink offering thereof. Exalt, hallowed be his great name, Amen. Throughout the world which he has created, establish his will. May he establish his kingship, bring forth his redemption, and hasten the coming of Messiah. To say Amen. And to all eternity blessed. May his great name be blessed forever, and to all honor, adorned, and lauded be the name of the Holy One. Blessed be he. Amen.
Amen.
Be in all the blessings, hymns, praises, and consolation that other in the world, and say Amen. Yahweh. Blessed you, Yahweh, our power and the power of our fathers, the power of Abraham, the power of Isaac, and the power of Jacob. Remembers the good deeds of the forefathers, and in love will bring a redeemer to their children's children. You, Yahweh, mighty forever, you revive the dead. You are heal the sick, set free the bound, and keep faith with those that sleep in the dust. And you are certain to revive the dead. Barakatah Yahweh, who revives the dead, who is sanctified earth, is full of his glory. Those faces and praise Yahweh, saying,
Blessed be the presence of Yahweh.
Blessed be the presence of Yahweh
In his place.
in his place. And in your holy words it is written, saying,
Yahweh.
throughout all generations,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah. Throughout all generations we will declare your greatness, and to all eternity we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, Elohim, shall never depart from our mouth. For you are great and holy, power and king. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the holy Elohim. You are holy, Elohim, and Elohim of our ancestors. May you be pleased with you. Cause us to rejoice in your salvation. Your holy Shabbat to us as the inheritance, so that Yasharallah, who sanctifies your name, the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the 6th day, Elohim ended it and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made. Remember the Shabbat day, and to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth. Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak
sign between me and you throughout your generation from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Shabbat of rest, holy to Yahweh. Whosoever doeth any work for a perpetual covenant, it is a sign between me and the children of Yashala forever. For in 6 days Yahweh with your people Yashala and with their prayers. Restore the service to the inner sanctuary of your temple, and receive in love and with favor both the fire offerings of Yashala and their prayers. May the worship of your people Yashala always be acceptable to you. And let our eyes to Zion and the power of our fathers forever and ever. We have always put our hope in you. For all these acts, may your name be blessed and exalted continually, O our King, forever and ever. Barakatah Yahweh, whose name is the excellent one, and to whom it is fitting to give thanks. Grant peace, welfare, blessings, grace, loving kindness, and mercy to us and to all Yashala, your people. Bless us, Abanawa, one and all, with the light of your countenance. For by the light of your countenance you have given us, Yahweh, our Elohim, a Torah of life. Let Yashala with peace. How excellent is thy loving kindness, O Yahweh, unto thee. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Alehu.
The nation of the lands, or places of the family, the Holy One, blessed be he, who extended the heavens and establishes the earth, whose throne of glory, truly your king, there is none else. As written is to our
Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the womb their soul from deceit and violence, and precious shall their blood be in his sight. His name shall endure forever. His name shall be continued as long as the sun, and men shall be blessed in him. All nations shall call man of sorrows, transgression. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. And he made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased Yahweh to bruise him. He had put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahweh shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied by his knowledge. Wahafta, Af Yahweh, Alahayaka, Bakal Lababka, Wamakal Napashka, Wabakal Ma'adka. Hear, Yashala, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh is one. And thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. For Aika, La'ah, the Quam, is the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh. Ted Tel Aviv, the Baryam. Anya Yahweh, Alahayika, Asherah, Hawatazah, Afyaka, Maratazah, Matazayim, Mabayath, the Ibadam. La'ah, Wala'ah, the Ibadam. Hashabah, Lakodashwa, Kabad, Abaka, wa Amaka. La'ah, the Ratazah, La'ah, the Na'ah, La'ah, the Ganab, La'ah, the Ainah, Shakur, La'ah, the Kamah, Kor, Asherah, La'ra'ika. That concludes the meek of prayers. We will now start the Torah reading for this week. Dan, let me get situated real quick. So we can pull up this week's.
Exodus 25.
Yeah. I meant the order. Okay. All right, so this week's Torah portion, we're in 19. The half Torah portions is 1 Kings, the 5th chapter, verse 20, the 12th chapter, verses 35 to verse 30. I got that. Waiting for
do the summary real quick. All right, so the first summary would be, we're reading about the tabernacle, from the Israelites for the construction of the tabernacle, okay? So this is all the stuff that they borrowed from the Egyptians. Now they're bringing it onto Marsha and Aaron so they can use it in the construction of the tabernacle. All the gold, all the silver, all the diamonds, all the precious linens and the silks, okay? So the Most High commanded the Israelites to become sanctuaries regarding the dimensions and construction of the tabernacles and its vessels, okay? Rings were to be attached to the corners of the ark so it could be used for transportation. We're in Wisdom of Solomon, the 8th chapter, Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter, verses 8 and 9, and saw as well with wisdom. So, can I get somebody go to Proverbs, the 3rd chapter?
You got it, Prince? If you got it, go ahead and bring it up.
Which verse?
13, and then verse 15. You must be demonstrating obedience to. It won't dwell with you. It will have nothing to do with you. It'll leave you unto your own devices. 13 and 15. All right. So, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. The understanding is how to apply wisdom in your life.
Desire, not to be compared unto her.
So you use the spirit of understanding, discernment. Wisdom is an intangible spirit that will only dwell with. And what is obedience? It goes back to the raw basics: repentance, obedience, stage. In other words, you have to put on the obedience of what the law tells us to do through the moral, civil, dietary, and ceremonial commandments. The obedience to know that you're not supposed to be, obedience to know that the first and last days of any holy convocation are supposed to be treated as a Shabbat, meaning that you're not supposed to be, but you can cook on the first and last days of holy convocations to commemorate what that convocation dealt with. And most of our convocations dealt with both sides blessing us through the land, through our husbandry, through our animals, our livestock. Demonstrate the obedience to the Heavenly Father. All right? Why don't we have blessings readily right now? Because we're not connected to the land. Right. Some land somewhere and start exercising the skill sets needed to create a blessing from that land, then we can see the Most High give us that blessing in return. Our direct and brought us into captivity, okay, under another nation's rulership because of our disobedience to the Torah, okay? So that was Proverbs. I believe the next verse is Proverbs 16:16, I believe. Let me look.
Rather to be chosen
To go, more valuable than attain to, because it is the foundation of how the wisdom. is what's going to give you the gold, the diamonds, the rubies, the pearls, whatever physical riches you can attain to. But without wisdom, without basic understanding, you're not going to gain these things. And like I said earlier, wisdom will not dwell in a hall. Okay, so that was Proverbs 16:16. Now let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter, verses 8. Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter, verses 8 and 9.
Wisdom reads, nothing in comparison of her. Verse 9, neither compared I unto her.
Giving his perspective and his understanding of how value him above all, because wisdom gave him the insight, gave him the aptitude to gather all the wealth that he wanted to acquire, whether it be gold, whether it be silver, whether it be precious metals. It was wisdom that gave him the insight to how to gain these physical materials. And he referenced it in the scriptures that we read in Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter, and I believe the brother read from verse 7 through 9. Okay? So once again, wisdom is the tangible that gains any physical attribute that you're trying to obtain to. You must first gain the understanding of wisdom. Okay? So, the next scripture, Psalms 119, verse 72.
One 19.
Kun.
What verse?
Psalm chapter 119, verse 72. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver.
That was 72. Read it again.
The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver.
But what is the law of your mouth supposed to be? It's supposed to be wisdom. That's what's supposed to be coming forth from your tongue, your mouth. Moral, civil, and dietary commandments of the Heavenly Father. Then the Most High will open up your spirit to obtain the gems of wisdom, which is what? The hidden knowledge, the physical wealth. And Solomon understood that. He understood the nature of beasts. He understood the nature of the elements. He understood the seasons. And with that understanding, he was able to apply insight to gain the advantage over these elements, over these wild beasts and animals. All right? So that was Psalms 119, verse 72. Okay. Through 16. All right, first reader up. Okay, Zayathan will read the first portion. Exodus 25th chapter, verses 1 through 16, loud and clear. No, 25.
Chapter 25, verse 1. Yahweh said to Moshe, speak to the people of Israel from every man.
You're in 35. All right.
Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Come.
Bear with us. Any comments up there? All right.
Willingly for his heart shall ye, for his heart ye shall take my offering, and this take of them gold and silver and brass, shod, and in the breastplate, and let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell amongst them, according to all that I showed thee, after the pattern of the tabernacle, and they shall make thereof, and a cubit, and thou shalt overlay it, on the four corners thereof, and 2 rings, and put on the side, put the staves into the rings.
So we see the detailed instructions of the Most High through Moses, through the builders, and how they made the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, so we're in the second portion. A little cooperation. All right, the second portion is Exodus the 25th. All right. So the ark was to be covered with a slab of pure gold. 2 golden winged cherubs were to protrude from this cover. Archaea is a tree, special wood, all right? So the leaves are toxic to animals. So
The bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on
that's to show you can't come to the Father unless you go through the Son, and that's Yahushua Mashiach.
That's right.
You come any other way, you come as a thief. And the Most High doesn't hear you nor receive. All right, Exodus 25.
Thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be laid in work, shalt thou make at 2 ends thereof. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high. The mercy seat above upon the ark, and an ark of the testimony of all things which I give thee in commandment to the children of Yeshua. Thou shalt also make a table. Thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, and make thereto a crown of gold around about. And thou shalt make unto it a border of an handbreadth. Make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be, and thou shalt make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. And thou shalt make the dishes thereof, and the spoons thereof, and the covers thereof, and the bowls thereof, to cover with all of pure gold that shalt thou make them. And thou shalt set them upon the table, showbread before me always. Those verse 30.
Okay, Khan. So we can bring up the third reader. Stepped away. Okay. Third reader would read Exodus 25, verse 31 to Exodus 26, verse 14. Okay. The summary of the third portion. With decorative cups, knobs, and flowers on its body. Now the Torah turns its attention. The second layer and tattoo hides. Excuse me. These oversized coverings also cover the outside of the tabernacle's walls. The very top of the tabernacle was then to be further covered by dyed ram skins and tassel hides. Okay, the light. Okay, we can go to Lamentations, the 4th chapter, verse 4. Lamentations, the 4th chapter, verse 2.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4, and verse 2. And it reads, the precious,
So read that again.
the book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 2, the precious stones of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed?
Outside to the menorah. Okay, he is that light. Okay.
Matthew Wiggin.
5 verse 14 and 15.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid.
So the menorah is people that are seeking wisdom, men that are seeking a better understanding to how to serve their career.
I think you tried.
Yeah. 2 verse 15.
Still want to do it. Let's try again.
Philippians 2 verse 15. Right. All right, go
All
ahead.
right, just get the book.
Yeah, get the book.
May be blameless and among
Nations, your light is supposed to shine among the world. And that light is the light of righteousness, which you become. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter, verse 1. Got it.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, need some light.
Yeah, I do.
We need some light. What?
There's not enough space to fit this and this.
Okay. Sure. No.
Yeah, I got this right.
Got it.
Okay.
It's
The book of Torah, chapter 8, verse 1. Strive not with a mighty rich man, lest he overweigh thee. For gold hath destroyed many, and perverted the hearts of kings.
so stronger than you, stay in your lane. All right? Our clothes are supposed to have the border of blue, which is the seal for the law. Attached with the law is the the fringes, to remind us of Yahushua and Mashiach. And Yahushua mastered the flesh, and he kept the law through wisdom. The temple curtain was torn. The curtains were joined in a group of 5 books of the next reader.
Make a candlestick of pure golden, of beaten work shall the candlestick be made. His shaft and his branches, his bowls and his knops and his flowers shall be of the same.
So this is the construction of the menorah.
3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of with a knop and a flower. So the 6 branches that come according to the 6 branches that proceed out of the candlestick, their knops and their branches shall be of the same. All of it shall be one beaten work of pure gold. And the tongues thereof and the snuff dishes thereof shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make.
All that Yahweh said.
Shalt thou make them. The length of one curtain shall be 8 and 20 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain shall be 4 cubits. And thou shalt make the loops of the blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the second. 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make in the other, and it shall be one tabernacle. And thou shalt make the curtains, and the 11 curtains shall all be of one measure. And thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shalt double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle in the hub. And thou shalt make 50 patches of brass, and put patches into the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. And the remnant that remaineth of the curtains of over the sides of the tabernacle on this side, and on that side to cover it. And thou shalt.
Was it 14 or 16? 14.
That's 14.
Okay. Hold up. Construction of the tapestry of Yasharala. Okay, the all right. Beams made of gold-plated acacia wood. The bottom of each beam had 2 projections that were to be inserted inside the sanctuary was 30 cubits. Pillars of wisdom is what these beams represent. We can go to Proverbs, the 9th chapter, verse 1.
Wisdom has been.
That's one. Kun. So the 7 pillars of wisdom. Okay. Proverbs, the 1st chapter, verses 1 through 4.
To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, understanding, shall attain unto wisdom, the words of the wise and their dark sayings.
Justice and judgment. All right. When you first the 25th chapter, verse 11.
Proverbs 25, verse 11, and it reads,
Spoken is made out of silver, and you have apples made out of gold in that picture. All right, that's how precious that word is when it's applied with wisdom.
taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly and pleasant things.
But they took the books also, all the records. And when
Rock, Ban Sunny McNeil, Ban Yahawaka, Ban Yashara. Tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side, southward, verse 19. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the other board for 2 talents, verse 20. And for there shall be 20 boards, 1 board and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward sides shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. Verse 25. Wood, 5 for the boards of one side of the tabernacle, and 5 for the boards of the other side, of the 2 sides westward. Verse 28. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards shall reach from one end to, shall reach from end to end. Verse 29. And thou shalt overlay the boards with gold, and make their ring of gold for places for bars. And thou shalt overlay the bars with gold.
Go ahead.
Verse 30. And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to show thee in the mount.
Detail. Trying to find that 7 pillars of wisdom real quick. Go back to Proverbs, the
Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David.
the other. That's Ezekiel.
These waters issue outward the east country, and down into the desert, and go into the sea, which.
No, that's not it.
Salaka.
Let's try Ecclesiasticus 47, 8 through 10.
God. The book of Sirach, chapter 7,
No.
47, verse
8.
8. Sirach, chapter 47, verse 8. And all his works he praised the Holy One, Most High, with words of glory. And his whole heart he sang songs, and let they, that by their voices they might make sweet melody. Verse 10. He beautified their feasts and set in order the solemn times until the end.
From the altar, songs of praise with the altar made out of acacia wood that was covered in copper, and this is where the sacrifices were to be given up to the Most High. The morning sacrifices and the evening sacrifices. All right? 1 through 8. Okay, next reader. Yabarakah Bashem Yahushai.
Chapter 27.
Yeah, Exodus 27, 1 through 8.
5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And thou shalt make the horns of it upon the 4 corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same, and thou shalt overlay it with brass. And thou shalt make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans. All the vessels thereof shalt thou make with brass. And thou shalt make it for a grate of network of brass. And upon the net thou shalt make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners thereof. And thou shalt put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And thou shalt make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar to bear it. Hollow with boards shalt thou make it, as it would show thee in the mount, so shall thou make it. That was verse 8.
Okay. So, once again, we see the construction of the altar by detailed instructions from the Most High. That was the 6th aliyah. The 7th aliyah would be Exodus 27, verses 9 to verse 19. And we see the temple courtyard was to be 100 cubits. That's about 150 feet by 50 cubits, and enclosed by mesh linen curtains. The entrance to the courtyard was to be on its eastern side, and the entrance was to be covered by a curtain woven of dyed wools and linen, okay, with needlework and embroidery design. All right. Next reader. Okay, so the 7th portion, you'll be reading from 9 to verse 19, Exodus 27.
Exodus chapter 27, verse 9. And thou shalt make the court of the tabernacle for the south side southward, there shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen of 100 cubits long for one side, and the 20 pillars thereof and their 20 sockets shall be of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver, And likewise for the north side in length, they shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, and its 20 pillars, and their 20 sockets of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10 and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side eastward shall be 50 cubits. The hangings of one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3 and their sockets 3. And on the other side shall be hangings 15 cubits, their pillars 3 and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be an hanging of 20 cubits of blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen, wrought with their needlework. And their pillars shall be 4, and their sockets 4. All the pillars round about the court shall be filleted with silver, and their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere, and the height 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. All the vessels of the tabernacle, and all the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass. That's verse 19. That's verse 19.
Okay. So once again, we see the instructions that the Most High gave in the construction of the temple. And the tapestry and the needlework that was involved in it. All right? So the half-Torah portion will be in 1 Kings, the 5th chapter, verses 18, going all the way over to First Kings, the 6th chapter, verse 13. Okay? Excuse me. So what we see here is the construction by Solomon in regards to the temple that he made to the Most High. All right? And we'll read also in the Josephus a little bit to get more detail on the construction that Solomon did for the Most High's temple. All right? Summary, briefly, 70 BC, 4 years later, he began the building of the temple of Yahweh in Jerusalem. This was 480 years after the Exodus, which dates the Exodus around 1446 BC by the city of Averus in the 18th dynasty of Matazayim, with the capital of Zoan as quoted in Psalm 78 verse 12 and 43. Pattern of evidence demonstrates the construction of the temple. So this week's Haftorah describes Solomon's construction of the temple, which goes along with the Torah portion that we read today.
What's the Haftorah again?
Haftorah is in 1 Kings, the 5th chapter. Well, start from 18. Really, they say 26. We start from verse 18, going all the way over to the 6th chapter, verse 13. So, somebody read 1 Kings 5:18 all the way over to 6:13.
Zaquan, before we read that, I wanted to bring something out real quick.
All right, go ahead.
This is out of Josephus, and this is pertaining to. This is Josephus. Josephus's account. This pertaining to Masha, the tabernacle that Masha had built. I want to go to two specific parts, and for anybody that's watching, we're in the book of Flavius Josephus, and we're in book 3, chapter 6. One thing to take account of is that, and I'm pretty sure that the Zaquan spoke on this before, is that the curtains, all right, the curtains of the tabernacle weren't to be taken lightly, all right. They weren't something that the Levites would just open up and go through. But how did they go through them when it was time for the Levites to go into the Holies of Holy? They had to creep, they had to crawl. So the Levites would have to get down on all fours and crawl under the curtain of the tabernacle. And I always thought that was amazing. I seen that on Japanese shows and stuff like that, to where they would crawl under the tabernacle, the curtain of wherever they were at. But Josephus mentions that, but also, let me read it real quick. This is Flavius Josephus chapter 3, and this is Masha's tabernacle. And there's a lot to read in it, so anybody that would like to read it, please go to the book of Flavius Josephus. If you're in the blue book, then you'll find it on page 85 in the Josephus Blue Book. But it's Flavius Josephus, book number 3, chapter 6, and the heading is Concerning the Tabernacle which Moses built in the wilderness for the honor of the Most High. And page 87 in the Blue Book, paragraph 4, line 127, and it reads, Another veil there was which covered the 5 pillars, and was like the former in its magnitude and texture and color. And at the corner of every pillar a ring retained it from the top downward half, the depth of the pillars, and the other half affording an entrance for the priest who crept under it. See? So when the priest went into the holies of holy, they didn't just bust open and just walk through, get down on all fours and crawl through. See? And I always thought that was amazing, because that showed the reverence of them actually going into the holies of holy. All right.
They knew the power that they were going before. And they knew in no uncertain terms, they wasn't guaranteed
to come back out.
to come back out. That's why they also would go in with a rope tied around their waist and bells on their garments. You know, let them know that, hey, I'm.
And the next part that I wanted to bring out from Flavius, book number 3, still pertaining to the tabernacle. So it's book number 3, chapter 6. This is paragraph number 4, and this is paragraph number 4, and this is line 132, and it reads, There were also other curtains. Now this is talking about the curtains that were on the outside of the tabernacle, because the way that the tabernacle was set up, and I pulled up some images, throw out for everybody, if you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, throw out for everybody building with us. I pulled up a couple of images.
Did they see him?
No, I didn't go to them yet. I got them right here, but I didn't go to them yet.
Okay.
All right. And we'll start our screen share when Zaquan, and when the next portion starts reading, we'll start our screen share. We'll do it separately.
Okay.
Kind of throw us Zaquan. So something that's important to be looked at is the tapestry, the covering that went over the tabernacle. The tabernacle being long and wide, the covering went over and then came downward, and then also along the backside came down. So only the eastward part was exposed with silver sockets, as the elder brought out earlier, golden pitcher with apples of silver on the inside, which is a very beautiful imagery. So the eastward part of the tabernacle was exposed, and on certain days, when we read Josephus' account, on certain holy days or certain convocations, the tabernacle curtains would actually be left open. So when the sun rising in the east, the sun would shine, all right? It would come shine. Well, what would happen when it hit all that gold? The whole tabernacle would shine, all right? So the tabernacle would shine, rising from the east. So nighttime, all right? This is something I wanted to bring out. All right, so this is pertaining to the curtains that went over and that went down and went around the backside. Watch this. And Zaquan, please give what the Most High give you on this. Mm-hmm. All right. There were also other curtains made of skins above these, which afforded coverings and protection to those that were woven, both in hot weather and that when it rained. And great was the surprise. Look at this. This is the part I really like. Great was the surprise of those who viewed these curtains at a distance, for they seemed not at all to differ from the color of the sky.
So you had transparency.
That's right.
You had transparency on a visual level that you would actually be seeing the sky when you're actually looking at it.
That's beautiful. You can't beat that.
I mean, you can't really describe that.
Man.
Well, I mean, take a picture of the sky and then transpose that picture on a t-shirt, and that's what you're looking at on a curtain. That's what you got. And you had curtains protecting the curtains from rain. So you have curtains protecting curtains from rain, which look like the sky from a distance. So
you see that morning sky, and say ooh. We got comments say ooh. So you imagine this: the morning sky. How the morning sky has all those different colors in it. It has the reds, and it has the purples, it has the pinks, and then it has the blues in the morning sky. And you're looking at it from a distance. All you see is these golden pillars from a distance. The sun rising behind you. The top of it being the same red, purple. That's why these three holy colors are so important to us. I mean, within this whole portion of reading this, Aliyah? Parasha. Within the whole time frame of reading this parasha, we've been seeing a constant pattern of scarlet, purple, blue. All right, blue, purple, red. We've been seeing this whole portion. So when Josephus, and so when I did a video earlier this morning for everybody that watched it, and the architecture of this tabernacle wasn't nothing to just be like, no big deal. And whenever you go to YouTube or Facebook or Google or whatever, and you look up the different images of what people are trying to imitate the tabernacle to be, it don't hold a candle to it. We had artificers, we had sculptors,
gem setters.
We had gem setters, see,
embroiderers,
and we had embroiderers to take a piece of gold, melt it down flat, cut it into thin strips, yeah. And then to sew that into patterns. Imagine this flag, but made out of actual cloth and dyed in these three holy colors. And then that menorah is actually woven with real gold in it. The Mashra'ah Yasha'Allah going around woven with real gold in it. This is what our grandparents did. So I know it sounds like a lot of reading when we're reading this and we don't understand all of it, the touches and the loops and and all these descriptions.
The detail.
But if you can, imagine this great detail in your mind and, and then push it to the next level. Like, we haven't seen anything this beautiful. See? We haven't seen nothing like this. And when we go to Wisdom of Solomon, it talks about the beauty. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 26. It talks about the beauty of a woman and her righteousness being like, pillars set in sockets of silver. So this pillars of gold with the sockets of silver, I mean, it's really prevalent for us. It means a lot to us. But this was the part that I wanted to read, and Tawada Zaquan Nathan Yalla for expounding on that. Just to look from a distance and you see the sky, and then the sky blends in with the same color of the tabernacle. You just see these gold pillars outside. That's fly. All right, I yield the floor. Tawada Zaquan.
Okay, so was there anything else you want to bring on?
That was it on that, King.
Okay, so now we can read 1 Kings, the 5th chapter. Actually, start from the first verse. Who's reading?
Can one of you princes take you, please, Baba Kusha? Tawada.
Amarian.
First Kings chapter 5.
Yeah, 1 Kings chapter 5. Let me see what you got.
I don't have anything yet.
No, I mean, I thought you pulled it up.
Oh, and then the internet's kind of,
doing its thing.
Yeah.
Man. Start from verse 18.
1 Kings chapter 5, verse 18. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did heal them.
All right, stop. Go up to, start from 10.
Coming up.
1 Kings chapter 5, verse 10. So Hiram gave Solomon cedar trees and fir trees, according to all his desire.
So Solomon gets with Haran and gets all these cedar trees. Let me see, go up a little bit more. Actually, go up. Go up. Let's start with 1.
1 Kings chapter 5, verse 1. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father. For Hiram was ever a lover of David. And Solomon said to Hiram, saying, Thou knowest how that David my father could not build an house into the name of Yahweh his All-High, for the wars which were about him on every side, until Yahweh put them under the soles of his feet. But now Yahweh All-High hath given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurring. And behold, I propose to build a house unto the name of Yahweh All-High, as Yahweh spake unto David my father, saying, Thy son whom I will send upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build a house unto my name. Now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy servants, and unto thee I will give hire for thy servants, according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians.
So like that.
Yeah, I figured you was gonna bring that in.
I was gonna say I like the way Solomon buttered him up.
Yo.
Can't nobody cut wood like you Hamites. but go ahead, Squan. That was all.
But you gotta understand this project. So you got cedar trees from Lebanon being cast into the river, brought down to the place where Solomon's gonna build a temple. Okay, go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Hiram heard the words of Solomon, that he rejoiced greatly, and said, Blessed be Yahweh this day, which hath given unto David a wise son over this great people. And Hiram said to Solomon, saying, I have considered the things which thou sentest me for, and I will do all thy desire concerning timber of cedar, and concerning timber of fir. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon unto the sea, and I will convey them by sea, and float unto the place that thou shalt appoint me.
So you got this huge convoy of cedar trees that are floating down the river. Go ahead.
And I will cause them to be discharged there, and thou shalt receive them, and thou shalt accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. So Hiram gave Solomon cedar trees and fir trees according to all his desire. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food to his household, and 20 measures of pure oil. Thus gave Solomon to Hiram year by year. And Yahweh gave Solomon wisdom, as he promised him, and there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and they two made a league together. And King Solomon raised a levy out of all Yeshurun, and the levy was 30,000 men. And he sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month by horses. A month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months at home. And Adoniram was over the levy.
So you had an officer over the levy, over the task of bringing down the cedar wood. Go ahead.
And Solomon had 70,010 that bare burdens, and 80,000 hewers in the mountain, beside the chief of Solomon's officers, which were over the work, 3,300, which ruled over the people that wrought in the work. And the king commanded, and they brought great stones, costly stones, and hewed stones, to lay the foundation of the house. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them, and the stones.
Okay, so that was, it ended at 18?
Okay.
All right, go to chapter 6.
1 Kings chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass in the 480th year, after the children of Yasharon were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Yasharon, in the month of Zeph, which is the 2nd month, they began to build the house of Yahweh. And the house which King Solomon built for Yahweh, the length thereof was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits. And the porch before the temple of the house, 20 cubits was the length thereof, according to the breadth of the house, and 10 cubits was the breadth thereof before the house. And for the house he made windows of narrow lights, and against the wall of the house he built chambers round about, against the walls of the house round about, both of the temple and of the oracle, and he made chambers round about. The nethermost chamber was 5 cubits broad, and the middle was 6 cubits broad, and the third was 7 cubits broad. For without in the wall of the house he made narrow rests round about, and the beams should not be fastened in the walls of the house. And the house, when it was in building, was built of stone, made ready before it was brought thither.
What does that mean, made ready before brought thither?
Made ready before brought thither. Meaning, the analogy I believe somebody used was Lego. It was pre-fitted to fit exactly into the place that it was going to go. In other words, if this wall was connected to this beam, then it was fitted so all it would do is just fit in place like a jigsaw puzzle. All right, so they did all their hewing, their chopping, their cutting, okay? Any loud noises went down on the outside of the construction site of the actual temple, okay? So when they brought the finished materials to be fitted together, died before it was brought. So you couldn't hear any of the axe or the tool or any banging when the house was being made. It was just being fitted together.
Hallelujah.
In silence, okay? In silence. I mean, minimum noise so you can understand. I'm sure there was some noise, but not like the noise when actual hammers and saws are being used at a construction site. What verse you in?
Verse 7.
All right.
So that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron head in the house.
Heard. Go ahead.
Heard in the house while it was in building. The door for the middle chamber was on the right side of the house, and they went up with winding stairs into the middle chamber, and out of the middle into the third. So he built the house and finished it, and covered the house with beams and boards of cedar. And then he built chambers against all the house, 5 cubits high, and they rested on the house with timber of cedar. And the word of Yahweh came to Solomon, saying, concerning this house which thou art in building, if thou wilt walk in my statutes and execute my judgments, and will keep all my commandments to walk in them, then will I perform my word with thee, which I spake unto David thy father. And I will dwell among the children of Yasharon, and will not forsake my people Yasharon. So Solomon built the house and finished it.
Okay. So we see that Solomon finished the house for the Most High. He built the temple. And we see the detailed instructions of the preparations, how everything was pre-constructed on the outside of the actual site of the temple. And when they brought the finished materials, they fitted it together like a jigsaw puzzle, Lego. Okay? So that was the half-Torah portion, which corresponds with the parasha, as far as the building of the temple and the Ark of the Covenant that Mashar did for the Most High. The menorah that was being built, okay, out of pure gold, with the detailed instructions as far as the embroidery of the tapestry and the cutting work out of gold, out of silver, the needlework, And like the brother read earlier in Josephus, how you had two curtains, one that resembled the sky, that was separated by the pillars of gold, and then you had that protecting the inner curtain that protected the tabernacle. So, again, the detailed instructions of the Most High is ever present. And Solomon carried out the same details because he applied what? Wisdom, which is what the temple represents also. 7 pillars of wisdom. All right, so the Brit Kadash, or the Brasar, is in Mark, the 12th chapter, verses 35 to verse 44.
All right, I got another fun fact.
Okay, fun fact.
All right, so fun fact, family. So King Solomon was the wisest of all. Correct?
Pretty much.
Yeah. The Most High said there will never be one after him that had this wisdom. If we pull up Wisdom of Solomon real quick, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. You got that, Prince? King Solomon said he knew all things. Your flip game is. Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. I believe it starts at verse 20. All right, let's see. Start at 17. What's that say?
For he hath given me
There we go. So Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse
17.
starting at verse 17. I want everybody to document this, Baba Kushah, because we're going to read another fun fact. Just like Solomon dealt with Hiram, and he had the knowledge of how to, communicate with Hiram, and how he wanted the tabernacle of the Most High to be built. King Solomon did many other things outside from making the house of the Lord, making his own house. King Solomon had knowledge that was beyond our knowledge. So it's it will behoove us. Is that good to say? It will behoove us to take heed to King Solomon. All right, so I'm going to read something now for those of you
Prior to his transgressions.
Thank you, Zaquan. Thank you so much for bringing that out. So what we're about to read is all before King Solomon's transgressions, which I'm so glad. Look at he's swole, man. This man's swole. I'm sorry, he's swole. That man did like this and was pow.
No, that was a stretch.
Okay.
That was a stretch. There wasn't no flex.
And that's just stretching.
Man.
So this is all before King Solomon's transgression. We have some people that talk about the Star of David,
Let's see. Prior to this new ageism that's upon us now, the shield of David, Dawiyad, it deals with duality. 360 degrees of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's 180 degrees of negative knowledge and understanding. You connect those 2 triangles, which is 6 points. It's also a symbol of a man. Okay? So, which is complete circle when you connect all the points. Okay? The completion of a man is to know both positive and negative. What we're going through now is a negative aspect of life because the wicked man is in rulership. All right? So when we who receive the salvation of the Most High bring in the positive kingdom, we'll have foresight and understanding to see evil before it has a chance to manifest itself because we're going through evil now. All right? And that's the short version. That's the short version.
Short version, but very powerful. The scriptures talk about understanding much in few words. So the water for that, Zaquan. So I agree with what Zaquan said. And then the more I looked into it, because I had to look at it for myself, like, what is this symbol? Is this really a symbol of witchcraft? Is blah, 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 blah. So found that.
No, but before you go,
Yeah.
Now that's not to say that sorcery won't use this symbol.
Absolutely.
But they also use the 5-pointed pentagram also, which is their trademark. Okay? So again, that 6-pointed shield is duality. All right? And then when you look at the creation of the Most High, I mean the snowflake is 6 points.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I'm just saying that the 6-pointed shield is in creation.
Absolutely.
Okay, the lily.
The lily. God.
Okay, the pomegranate. Okay, so when you start seeing this symbol in the creation of the Most High, you understand the duality and the balance of both positive and negative, and that's what the Most High is using with this symbol.
Absolutely.
Okay, now do we worship the symbol? No, we don't worship the symbol. Okay, it has a spiritual reference, but we're not praying to this symbol. We're praying to the actual Ruach, the Spirit, through Yahushua Mashiach. So don't get it twisted.
Hallelujah.
All right.
So if anybody wants more information on that, which is the go back and rewind what he just said. Also, you can look up two words that are found in the scriptures, and Josephus speaks on them. One word is Target, target. Another word is shield. Target and shield are two definitions that's used in the scriptures. It never says the Star of David. I've never seen that. But I have seen target and shield consistently used when it refers to this specific shape. And like the elder said, the duality of positive and negative. King Solomon himself, he even, for wisdom's sake, investigated foolishness. All right. So let me read this real quick and throw out a hole in that, Prince. This is Ecclesiastes, not Ecclesiasticus, Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 16. And it reads, I communed with my own heart, saying, lo, and elder, step in whenever you hear it. I communed within my own heart, saying, lo, I have come to great estate and have gotten more wisdom than all they that were before me in Jerusalem. Yea, my heart had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. Verse 17. And I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly.
So, to know the extremes of all categories of understanding.
That's right.
You know, to understand what these categories are. Then to apply this, because this path is the path to destruction. Okay, not the path to enlightenment. Saying that he had to investigate to get that understanding.
That's right.
All right, go. Anything
That
else?
was it for that. That was it for that. So that's just to show what the Zaquan was bringing out, how King Solomon spoke and showed us that duality, okay? Also, another one, Zaquan gave great references, all right? So when you look up the word target, when you look up the word shield, it does come back to the word that is snow, which goes to the snowflake, and how the snowflake are primarily six-sided, but they also have these things sticking out the sides of them, which are called thorns. Like the majority of snowflakes just aren't just straight symbols. They have these thorns, or another word for thorns is briars sticking out the sides of them. So that's a real fun search, something that anybody can do. And one of my family members that's on here, please type this word in. Type this word in, okay? Real isolated snowflakes. Yes. Esau has figured out the way, maybe it was probably Israelite that did it, but they figured out a way to actually photograph in high detail real snowflakes. So when you go through it, you see all of them have and people say no two snowflakes are the same, which I agree with, but they all primarily have six sides, and these six sides have different points to them. And when you look up that word shield and target within the scriptures, it goes back to that word snow, which leads you to a snowflake, pomegranate, lily, but also on the surface of Saturn, they found a huge, that same hexagram shape on the face of Saturn. But the point of saying all that is to say King Solomon knew all this information. You ready, Prince? All right, King Solomon knew this information. So once the prince reads this, I'm going to read one excerpt from Flavius Josephus, and then that will be it. And the whole objective is to be able to share the wisdom that King Solomon had, that the Most High has given him, okay? Whenever you're ready, Prince.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 17. For he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, to know how the world was made.
So Malak Shalaman knew how the world, namely, to know how the world was made. So it's not a big deal to think that King Solomon understood that the world vapor, came out from the sun. It's not a big thing to understand that King Solomon knew the constellations because he knew how the world was made. What else?
And the operation of the elements, the beginning, ending, and midst of the times.
Stop right there. Beginning, midst, and end of time. So was that to say that King Solomon understood the end of the world too?
Probably. Good.
See? So so we are the children of the Syrians, so we do have that knowledge. King Solomon was more expounded in it though. Go ahead.
The beginning, ending, and midst of times, the alterations of the turning of the sun, and the change of seasons.
So okay. second, when it's the 13th month, because he understood the cycle of the moon. Okay, he understood the cycle of the moon because he wrote about
He
it.
didn't have to read Enoch?
No, he didn't have to read Enoch. Okay,
Just check.
right. He didn't have to read it. He knew it. Okay, and he wrote about it because he had the understanding of the wisdom. Because he applied the pillars of wisdom to get that understanding, which brought him what? Equity of the situation. Okay, anything else?
The circuits of years and the position of stars.
Okay, with that, which we as modern studiers use the ephemeris and the farmer's almanac. All right, because that's all in relationship. The stars and the cycle of the moon is in relationship to how you plant and how you harvest.
That's right.
How you deal with your livestock according to the cycle of the moon. Okay, not the solar equinox, but the cycle of the moon, because there's certain days that you do certain things.
The water.
All right.
Come.
Farmers know that. Certain days, okay, this is a good day to do this. This is a good day to do that. We need to do this by this time to plant. You have a window of time to plant if you want to maximize your yield of your harvest.
Beautiful.
Because that goes into the cycle, because the cycle of the moon reverts to the earth in the rotation of the sun and the moon and the gravitational pull to cause the seed to sprout and grow. Okay, and then the sun cycle to give the ample heat or the sun on the seed, and then the rain, and then the morning dew. All that's within a cycle of the moon in relationship to how you grow things, or yield from the earth. You can't make the earth grow. You got to be in harmony with the earth.
Right.
So to be in harmony, meaning I know how the earth is moving, so I know how I need to plant, how to harvest, how to do certain things around the farm to maximize my return on investment. I yield. Anything else?
Yeah, come. Please. Beautiful.
The natures of living creatures.
The natures of living creatures. So King Solomon is going from creation all the way down to nature of living creatures. Read.
Because what does that deal with? Husbandry, if you're dealing with domesticated animals. Okay, husbandry, yield of his husband, domesticated animals, whether it be cows, lambs, goats, chickens, okay, etc. Go ahead.
And the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds, and the reasonings of men, and the diversities of plants, and the virtues of roots, and all such things as are either secret or manifest, them I know.
Stop right there. So the water. What was that last part he said? They're all things that are secret or manifest. He said what?
Them I know.
He said, them I know. So listen, Mashallah, Yasha'Allah. Listen, Yasha'Allah. Take heed, Banya, Yasha'Allah, children of Israel. Take heed to the writings of Solomon. The reason I asked the prince to read that portion, that was Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse what to where?
Verse 17 to verse 21.
Okay, let me write that down in my sheet. Let me take notes. So that was Wisdom of Solomon 7. Where at?
17 to 21.
17 through 21. Now, if you're still taking notes, document this part down too. Write this part down right next to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7, 17 through 21. Document this. Antiquities of the Jews, book number 8, chapter 2, line 44. Now, we're reading about this is the precept that go to 1 Kings chapter 5. But Josephus always do something extra for us. And that's why I encourage Israel, study Josephus. Like you study, your Torah, keep Josephus next to it. Not the book of Enoch. If you choose to, have fun with that comic book. Like my elders call them, comic books. All right? Have fun with that. But it's better, it gives us something extra. Within the precept for this week's Torah portion reading of 1 Kings chapter 5, while we're learning about how Solomon put the temple together, Josephus tells us some extra information that has to do with the wisdom of Solomon. Check this out. Whenever you're ready, Quan. Okay? All right, so this is the book of Antiquities of the Jews, book number 8, chapter 2, line 44. This is the precept of wisdom of Solomon 7. I'm sorry, it's paragraph 5, line 44. He, being King Solomon, he also comprised books of old, he being a King Solomon. Now, for those of you that know me personally, I like diving into the apocryphal books. You know, maybe you want to stay away from that. I've already looked at it for you. I went into my madness. I went into my, I did. There's certain books that are called Gnostic. Stay away from Gnostic books. Gnostic books come from Simon Magus, okay? If any book is titled a Gnostic book, it comes from Simon Magus, which was a witch in the New Testament. He was like the New Testament version of Balaam, all right? Now, any book that's not Gnostic and that goes to the 1st century, if it can be found in Paleo-Hebrew, then I would encourage you to look into it. The Odes of Solomon, and this is one point that I wanted to give you. If you don't hear my family member, somebody type this down for us. Type down this, Odes of Solomon. Type down Songs of Solomon. All right, this goes right along there with Wisdom of Solomon. They've been investigated, but here goes something else. I'm still looking at them. They've been found in the Qumran caves. We know that the Qumran cave scrolls do go back to the 1st century with Flavius Josephus during this time frame, and they were found written in Paleo-Hebrew. So there are other books that Solomon's written. We know that we've had so many books, and so much knowledge has been taken from us, that's been burned, that's been stolen. They tried to trample it underfoot to where we forgot about it. But Josephus leaves us so many jewels. Now, this is where we got to be careful, though. Listen well. He also comprised books of odes and songs, 1,005 of parables and similitudes, 3,000. For he spake parables upon every sort of tree. And that's what the prince just read. That's like, can you get that where he wrote parables about fir trees, about the different trees and the natures of beasts, that section?
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7, verse 20. The natures of living creatures and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds and the reasonings of men, the diversities of plants.
The diversities of plants. So King Solomon knew which plant to eat to make the headache go away, which plant to eat to make your blood flow better, which plant to eat to make your womb start to, progress and heal, which plants to eat to stay away from the siliphin plant, which was the plant that would help to keep the body from producing life. So King Solomon knew these things, right? So is that all of the diversities of plants?
Oh, there's one more. And the virtues of roots.
And the virtues of roots. Licorice root. Remember the scripture says that the Most High made a tree fall down into the water and the water went from bitter to sweet. Well, you can go and buy a plant right now called a miswak or licorice root plant. And you can chew that, put it in a bottle of water. You can put it in anything and it's a natural sweetener. You chew on it for like 3 minutes and then your whole mouth tastes like you just been chewing on sugars. For he spake parables of every sort of tree, from the hyssop to the cedar, and in like manner also about beasts, about all sorts of living creatures, whether upon the earth or in the seas or in the air. For he was not unacquainted with any of their natures, nor omitted described them all like a philosopher, and demonstrated his exquisite knowledge of their several properties. So when we're learning about King Solomon and Flavius Josephus and the building of the temple, Josephus drops an extra jewel up in there and say, hold on, King Solomon didn't just deal with Hiram. Here goes something else. Hiram was wise too. Hiram knew about riddles. He knew about poems. Hiram knew how to ask you questions to make you think. So King Solomon and Hiram, they used to write letters and go back and forth with each other. See? They used to make bets. I bet you can't figure this out. I bet you can't figure this out. See? Hold on. Last point. Now, here's the part that we probably aren't too familiar with, but this is where we get Europeans and other nations using witchcraft from King Solomon. Watch this. Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, book number 8, chapter 2, line number 5, paragraph 45. And it reads, Allahaya also enabled him to learn that skill which expels demons. Exorcism. Wasn't expecting us to read that, was you? So King Solomon knew those things that you see on the Catholic Church movies and, the exorcism and stuff. King Solomon understood, how, which also shows us, you know, just like in the time of Yahushua, that them evil spirits could jump on people.
Right, it happened. And then, you know, him casting out the devil, and the disciples wondering why they couldn't do it. He said, well, you got to do some more praying and fasting. Okay, this comes through much fasting and prayer. And the fact that the demons knew who he was.
Facts.
So they respected the hierarchy.
Better.
Oh,
We know who you are, Master.
yeah. You ain't them. We can deal with them.
Right. All right, anything else, Quan?
No, that was it.
Check this out. But Allahaya also enabled him to learn that skill which expelled demons, which is the science useful and sanative to men, or in other words, to help to clean a man, sanitation. He composed such incantations also by which distempers, the word distemper means a sickness. He composed, which King Solomon wrote down these things. So there are other books. We'll talk about them on another time frame. We can talk about them another time frame. I want to stick with the elders protocol. So King Solomon wrote these things. He composed also such incantations also by which distempers are alleviated. And he left behind him the manner of using exorcisms by which they drive away demons so that they may never return. And this method of cure is of a great force unto this day. For I have seen a certain man of my own country, whose name was Eleazar, releasing people that were demoniacal in the presence of Vespasian and of his sons and his captains and the whole multitude of his soldiers. The manner of the cure was this. I'm not going to read it to you. I encourage you all to go and find. I'm going to give you that little cliffhanger. Like, what was it? What was the matter of the cure? I'm not going to tell you. All right, but you can find it in the book of Flavius Josephus, book number 8. And remember, this is talking about, this is an eyewitness account. Joseph, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, seek ye the kingdom of heaven, all these things shall be added unto you. So the first step is the royal basics.
That's right.
So if you haven't done that, I think you going into kind of like you want the icing before the cake. You want the cream before the ice. You might be dabbling
The cream before the ice.
you might want to you might be dabbling into things that you really don't understand, thinking that because of pride. So you take heed. Okay, take heed. All right, go ahead.
And with that being said, I yield the floor. Take heed. Make sure you learn the royal basics: repentance, obedience, Yahweh, Yahushua, Yashala. And then I put the little extra on it: last days and salvation. All right. So for all of our family members that are still in Kansas City, wearing the Kansas City Royals garments, you can spell it out completely. All right. So please take heed. Don't fall into foolery. All right. Stick with the royal basics. Josephus does not tell you exactly what to do. He just gives his account of saying, this is what I've seen happen. All right, so I yield the floor on that, and I just wanted to share that because this is in the same portion that's talking about King Solomon's knowledge of building the temple, the tabernacle, modeled after the tabernacle. And with that, I yield to Mark.
Okay, so let's go to the Basora, the Brit, Mark, the 12th chapter, verse 35 to 44.
All right, the book of Mark, and I'll go ahead and read it.
All right, Mark 12, verse 35 to 44.
Get the screen share right. All right. Yes, sir. The book of Mark, chapter 12, verse 35. And Yahushua answered and said, while he taught in the temple, how say the scribes that Mashiach is the son of Dawad? For Dawad himself said by the Holy Spirit, Yahweh said unto my Allahaya, sit thou on my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool. Verse 37. And Dawad therefore himself calleth him Alahiah. And whence is he his son? And the common people heard him gladly. Verse 38. And he said unto them, and he said unto them in his doctrine, beware of the scribes, which love to go in long clothing, and love salutations in the marketplaces, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and the uppermost rooms at feasts, these shall receive a greater damnation.
Okay.
Verse 44?
Yeah.
41.
Yeah.
Okay. So 42, 44.
Yeah.
Okay. Verse 41. And Yahushua set over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and that many were rich, cast in much. And there came a certain poor woman, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. Verse 43. And he called unto him his disciples, and said unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. Verse 44. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living.
So, greater was the poor widow who cast in everything that she had, which was basically nothing.
Nothing.
But in hope to receive the abundance of all things that she wanted. So she had the faith in Yahushua Mashiach to believe that what she was able to cast in or afford to cast in was greater than the return she was going to receive. You know, so Yahushua made note of that and told his disciple that what she did was greater than what anybody that had, because anybody that did cast in, they did from their abundance. It kind of goes parallel to the rich man trying to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And Yahushua told the rich man, well, sell everything that you had, give it to the poor, and follow me. Mm-hmm. But he, seeing more of what he would lose than what he would gain, said that was too great of a thing for him to do. So he couldn't, his faith wasn't in Yahushua Mashiach. His faith was in what he had. Mm. So that's what he was banking on, what he attained to, not what could be given to him by his faith. He didn't take that step. He didn't take the leap of faith. And that's what the Most High requires of us to do at times, a lot of times. Take that leap of faith. All right? So, go back.
Come on.
Go up some. So he also makes note of those in high positions, you know, that want to be seen, but yet they use their positions to devour widows' houses and poor people's possessions, and to keep people destitute to serve their needs and wants, you know. But do give us a great salutation as far as prayers and great, you know, speeches, but do nothing for the people's faith. You know, they're going to receive greater damnation in judgment time, because all that's going to be brought up. What you could have done, but you didn't do it. And you was in the position to do it. That's the difference. It's one thing to not be in the position or have the means to help those that are in need, but to be in position and have the means, but do not anything to help those people in need. Right. And the Most High knows. See, we don't know, but the Most High knows. He knows what you're capable of doing, what you're not capable of doing. So that's who you have to answer to. Okay? Go up a little bit.
Okay. I got a precept for that.
Okay. All right, this is what we started. All right, go ahead with your precept.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 47 and verse 48. And it reads, and that servant which knew his Alahiah's will, and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be required.
Much is required. To whom much is given, much is required. So, to know the truth and walk away from it, man, it's better to have not have known the truth than to know it and walk away from it. So all those that came into the fold of the understanding of the Most High, the truth that is, of who you are and how you're supposed to walk in wisdom and understanding of Yahushua and Mashiach, how you're supposed to walk in the Torah of Mashiach, and how you're supposed to help in the gathering of your people under Yasha Allah, under Yahushua. You know, you're going to answer for that in the day of judgment. You know, you ain't going to be able to say, I didn't know. The record's going to be pulled, well, you did know, but you didn't say. You did know, but you didn't do. So that's you don't want that type of record on you. You know, you want more you want more checks than minuses against your name when they come open up the book of judgment. Anything else?
No, nothing else on that.
Okay. Any comments?
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom.
There's one that says, they said it's the star of Molech, is it?
No, it's not the star of Molech. Star is five-pointed. The shield is six-pointed. So that's one difference. There's no scriptural reference to the star of Molech as being a shield that founded soundly according to scripture. You want to add to that?
Yeah, if we're looking at actual stars that are in the sky, they're spherical.
Okay, but you mean the actual shape?
Yeah. God.
Why don't you pull up that shape, spherical, if possible, and show that to those that are watching. Anything else? Okay. So, the great state of Texas ain't great no more. Mosai came through with a vengeance. And he ain't done yet. It's a wake-up call, you know. All things end and begin with the Most High, you know. So now people are gonna have to deal with high electric bills and, you know, just a whole mess of cleanup behind the storm that the Most High brought. All because of the greed of this great state of Texas to not want to adhere to basic regulations. You know, the frozen pipelines, the frozen water lines, you know, the overtaxing of the electrical grid. They're gonna have to answer to all that, you know. They want to pass the buck, but they made these decisions on a high level. So now they have to bear with the result of these decisions. All right. And on another note, you know, all the injustice that Texas has committed against our people is only rightfully so that the Most High brings some type of chaos and disaster among the other disasters. Because, you know, they just now kind of getting themselves together from the flood that they had. Now they got to deal with this, you know. So, any more comments? You said no?
Real quick, Zaquan.
All right.
So, stars appear not as the unwavering and blazing spheres of plasma. See? So stars aren't shaped in what they call the star of Molech, the star of Ramphan. We know that that's in the scripture, but that's actually going into the constellation and not going into the symbol that King Solomon made. And remember, no 6 points, but it's 7 lights, and I die for them, and they gonna die on them. It's a whole beautiful song, but fell into wickedness, dealing with the Gentile women and worshiping of their false deities. All right. So before King Solomon fell into that wickedness, he had the target. He had shields, 500, 300. He had them going all around his house in Lebanon. All right. And if need be, I can pull up the scriptures showing that. We can go to Flavius Josephus to show. So whenever we see that and we Google it up, we Google the Star of David, we Google that scripture, I know that those images come up, but you just got to dig a little bit deeper. First of all, stars are shaped in a sphere. All right. They're not shaped in the symbol of the lily or the symbol of the pomegranate or the symbol of a hexagram or symbol of a snowflake. Stars aren't shaped like that. They're shaped in the shape of a sphere, a plasmic sphere. Okay. And then the second thing to keep in mind is when people do like to say that, then you have to remember when Malak Shalamah, when King Solomon, when he made that symbol of dual polarity, he was in righteousness. He wasn't involved in wickedness and witchcraft and worshiping of Molech and worshiping of Remphan. He was very starch and very stern on keeping the laws and statutes, commandments of the Most High. All right, that's all I have on that right now.
Okay. So, with that being said, we're going to thank you for coming out for this week's Torah portion. Real quick recap. We read Terumah, which means heave offering. In the Torah portion, we read Exodus 25, verse 1 to Exodus 27, verse 19. The Haftarah portion was in 1 Kings, the 5th chapter. We basically read from 1 to 1 Kings 6, verse 13. And the Basar, the Brit Kadash, we read in Mark, the 12th chapter, verse 35 to verse 44. All right, we read about the details, instructions that the Most High gave Masha for the building of the tabernacle, the curtains, the ark, the menorah, the table made of acacia wood covered in gold, the showbread. We read about the altar that was also made of acacia wood that was covered in copper. The poles that were covered in gold and some were covered in silver. Okay. We read about the curtains. More details in Flavius Josephus. All right. All that to show you that the Most High is a wonderful, magnificent designer and architect. And he gives the Ruach, the wisdom, the spirit to build whatever it is that he wants to be created and built. All right.
I got these real quick, so Quan, let's just pull these up just for the...
Go to 2nd Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, verses 1 through 8.
Little isolated snowflakes. Now, you got to be careful because you will find some that are computer generated or you'll find some that are cartoons, but these are not. These are actually real snowflakes. And like people tell you, like, no two snowflakes are the same, you know. And as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Better because you look at these snowflakes and you'll see even within the 6, there's another 6. So I just encourage everybody, when you get a chance, go and look this up for yourself. I'm not going to deal with that one because I don't know if that one's a real one or not. Let me see. There we go. This is a good one. I like this one right here. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. But then even on the inside, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the Most High's perfect design. Okay. So I would encourage you. You can go and look up the word cold in the scriptures. Go to your Blue Letter Bible. Go to your Bible Hub. Whatever you want to look up. Go look up the word target. Go look up the word shield. Maybe we'll do it now. I don't want to take up too much time, but I'll look up the word while the Prince is reading the scripture for you all.
Okay, 2nd Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, in the Apocrypha, verses 1 through 8. So what is this dealing with? Well, let's see. You know, they ain't find the Ark of the Covenant. That's what it's dealing with. Okay. Vatican ain't got the Ark of the Covenant.
That's right.
Indiana Jones ain't find the Ark of the Covenant. I figure I put that one out there. You know, he ain't find it. You know, I know Hollywood will tell us otherwise. Go ahead, Ariashan, call you.
Fire, as it has been signified, and how that the prophet, having given them the law, charged them not to forget the commandments of Yahweh, and that they should not err in their minds, warned of Yahweh, commanded the tabernacle and the ark to go with him as he went forth into the mountain where Moses climbed up and saw the heritage of Alahiah. And when Jeremy came thither, he found an hollow cave, and some of those that followed him came to mark the way, but they could not find it. Which when Jeremy perceived, he blamed them, saying, As for that place, it shall be unknown until the time that Alahiah gathers people again together and receive them unto mercy. Then shall we Mount Carmel, was it? Or Mount
You looking it up?
I'm sorry, what happened? I'm in it deep. I'm in it deep, my bad.
You in that Masha went up, and then when you read in 2 Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, verses 1 through 8, that's where the prophet Jeremy was instructed to go up and place the ark of the covenant along with the tabernacle and the testimony up in that place, and seal the cave once he found that place. Okay, can you go to Maccabees? Okay. So you can be be clear on that. The scriptures say they ain't got it, so they ain't got it. All right. They got a lot of stuff, but they ain't got the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, because the Most High don't want them to have that.
That's right.
Starting from 1. Go back. All right, so Jeremy the prophet.
Way to take of the fire that had been sick, not err in their minds when they seen the images of silver or gold with their ornaments. He went forth into the mountain where Masha climbed up and saw the heritage of Alahiah. And when Jeremy came thither, he found a hollow cave wherein he laid the tabernacle and the ark and the altar of incense, and so stopped the door. And some of those that followed him came to mark the way, but they could not find it. And when Jeremy perceived, he blamed them, saying, As for that place, it shall be unknown until the time that Alahiah gather his people together again and receive them unto mercy. Verse 8, Then shall Alahiah show them these things and the Masha. And when Solomon desired that place might be honorably, and as when Solomon desired that place might be honorably sanctified.
So we see so they're hidden in a cave on Mount. I said they are not going to find it. Period. End of story. Man.
They say that people in Ethiopia got it.
Well, right. That's kind of what kind of struck me to bring that up. You know, it's over in Ethiopia. No, it's not. It's not in Ethiopia.
The last time the Hamites had the Ark of the Covenant, everybody was dying. There was a plague of rats. That their idols fell down face first. Everywhere, the safest place for the Ark of the Covenant to be is in a cave somewhere where don't nobody got access to it. Because something that we forget is that the Most High used it as a weapon. It was a weapon of mass destruction that we carried with us. And whenever Masha petitioned, the ark would go out. The Flavius Josephus says that it would lean forward and it would go forward. And then Masha would say, "Let your peace come back." And then the ark would literally rest upon the Levites again. We were carrying a tank.
Right, a spiritual, weaponized tank of mass destruction. So you can understand. So, with that being said, we want to thank those that were able to be in attendance with us for this week's parasha. All right. We conclude with the salute and we'll close out. All right. All men stand. Be right back. Madium. Barak. Ya Barakakum Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Barakam Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai.
Kwam Yashala.
Kom Yasharallah.
Kwam Yashala.
Kom Yasharallah.
Kwam Yashala.
Kom Yasharallah.
Hallelujah.
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 Yadi Matah. My name is Shabbat. Turn and face the sisters. Sisters stand. Everybody standing. Amadwa. Barak. Yashamar. Kum Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Kwam Yashala.
Kom Yasharallah.
Kwam Yashala.
Kom Yasharallah.
Kwam Yashala.
Kom Yasharallah.
Yadi Matah. Dismissed. Come. Yeah.